All right, long time since the last video on the Challenger, but want to try to get something out there. A lot of people asking, and I just haven't really gotten around to it. So cut out quite a bit more of the floor, getting ready to brace it up and start getting ready on putting some of the new sheet metal in. We got the trunk floor, the back seat, and the main floor up to the firewall, the entire cowl, and the outer A-pillars. Something else I just noticed, I don't know if I ever even mentioned this before, but certainly not going to be reusing this rear end in this thing. It's a little dinky, what was that, the 7 1/4? So much for that, but I thought it was worth pointing out. Yes, like I said, I got a little bit more cut out here on the floor, and just working on deciding what to do next. Technically, this section of the floor is supposed to sit first on the rail, and then the main floor here sits on top of that. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to do that first and then work my way towards it, because I don't know if I'm gonna have room to be able to like flip them once we get to that point. So you may have to just do that first. And then, I mean, you can see I made some progress on getting everything cleaned up and cut out here. I'm like trying to drill out all these spot welds and just going through it one little section at a time here. See if we can kind of get the camera up there so you can see it better. But yeah, one little section at a time, and just it's easier just to drill out, say, a half a dozen spot welds and then slice that section of floor, you know, in like a 1 foot long section, let's say, and then just take it out and move. All right, pulled off the passenger side fender here so we get a better look at it. I mean, we already knew that the cowl was going to be pretty well destroyed, so that's nothing surprising. Somebody left a wrench under there for probably at least the last 35 years, if not longer. We're just going to clean this up a little bit better. I think I'm even going to pull the doors off right now. Might as well get them out of the way. And we'll kind of figure out what we're going to do here as far as bracing and getting this cowl and firewall out. get a look at this so everybody gets an idea of what we're trying to shoot for. It ain't got to be super beautiful, but nice and strong. I think this is good and rigid. I don't think we're going to have any problems. And I'm not done yet. The one other thing I want to do, I was going to tie in this bar that we just did. I was going to tie that in to the cross member, but I think a better way of doing it is I'm just going to take another of these 1-inch bars, run it on the inside here, weld it on the inside of the rocker, side to side, one piece, and then we'll do a couple of vertical pieces from that 1-inch to this 1-inch. I was hoping I was gonna get a full video's worth of stuff done today, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But let me show you what we got here. So we welded in that crossbar there, got the uprights, which maybe I should have triangulated them, but I think it's okay. And then coming off of that, we have these support bars coming over and then going into here on the inner fenders. So I think we should be pretty good. I think that's going to make it pretty rigid. So I feel fairly confident now we can start cutting on the cowl there in the firewall and getting that out of the way. Start actually making some progress on this car. Putting some metal back in instead of taking metal out. So the next time you feel overwhelmed working on your project, just think that it could always be worse. Yeah, no floor. And guess what? I haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. All right, I don't know, kind of might have to re-record the audio because I got the radio going here in the background, but just wanted to show you where we're at. Got the bulk of this floor cut out. Just got to take out these remnants, drill out all these spot welds. It actually hasn't been too bad. It's a little time consuming, but other than that, I mean, they're coming out pretty easily. Obviously have the vast majority of the firewall cut out. A little further along on this side, you can see, not too bad. So I'm thinking about getting these inner, I guess you call them like an inner hinge piece. So this piece here is separate from the actual outer piece that contains like the reinforcements, like the plates that sandwich the bolts. So the only problem is that I believe they're on back order. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get them in, and I don't want to completely stop progress on this thing waiting on those. Driver's side's not nearly as bad, but that passenger side, I mean, that's rough enough that, you know, I don't think it's worth patching those little pieces in. Pieces like $100, 120 bucks. So want to get those replaced. The bracing that we have set up here kind of stops me from, I just assumed I was going to do firewall first. Kind of stops me from doing the main piece, like the one-piece floor here, because obviously we need to get in underneath that, and that would be pretty much impossible with the brace here. So maybe today I'm going to try to concentrate on getting this all cleaned up back here, and maybe we can get into getting this rear done in here, the rear seat going up over into the wheel arches, get that piece replaced. All right, well, that was a real pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. That is just dry fitted in there. It's not welded in yet or anything, but I was able to get it in there all in one piece, and pretty much got it the way I want it. The one of the things I was trying to do with all these panels was not have to patch anything. I wanted everything to go up to factory seams, and I was pretty fortunate that I was able to do that, with the exception of on this panel being there's a break here, you know, it breaks down to a 90 there. I didn't want to have to cut the underlying piece that's under here. I don't want to look it up right now, but there's a piece underneath here that has a 90 on it, you know, a vertical flange, and then it sandwiches the flange that was attached to this piece, and then the inner wheel housing. And those were, all three of those were spot welded together, right? So I did take off, you can see the daylight in there now. I did take off from this old piece, the factory piece, where it does have that 90-degree flange, it bends down. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. That 90-degree flange, and you can kind of see it in there. So I did get all that cut off of the inner wheel housing, and man, what a pain in the ass it was. So all that's going to be factory spot welded underneath, or I should say spot welded, not factory spot welded, obviously. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put them, but every few inches like it was. But this was the one exception. This was the one area where we had to do that. It's going to be a little patch here too. Same thing on this side. Cut off the flange. Everything was solid in there, as near as I could tell. So it wasn't like anything where, you know, if it was half rotted out or something, and I was going to have to replace the inner wheel housing anyway, well, then obviously we would have gone that route. But it's nice solid steel, so zipped off that little piece of the 90 here. But again, even on this side, able to retain the flange. So far so good. When I drilled out these, now guys might be like, well, why'd you drill them out from this side? Well, it's a lot easier drilling out from this side, even though this is the piece I'm saving, as opposed to the old piece here. So I should have drilled them from the back, but they were pretty inaccessible because you have the cross member that runs underneath here, right? So did it this way. I'll plug weld those in. It'll be just fine. It's just for some extra bracing anyway. It was kind of a pain, but I was able to flex this enough to slide this up underneath it, and then rest it in there, and then push these back down. So they're still going to be located where they need to be. And once I start getting this tacked in and welded in, these braces will get welded on there, and then I will reinforce that up there anyway. So slow progress. Took a whole day to get this in, but so far so good. All right, one small step at a time. Some of these things are kind of hard to get to because it's all undercoated in here, but you could see just barely Hopefully it shows up on camera, but you got a spot weld there and a spot weld there. So we'll, I'll put through an 1/8 inch hole on either side here, and then I'll take the weld cutter from the back, since the old cowl's going, so that way there's less, we're intruding less into the piece that we're saving. But to locate them on the other side, it's so rusty in there, I was looking, I really can't find them. So we'll put an 1/8 inch hole there and there, and then actually use the weld cutter, the spot weld cutter from the back side. All right, just mocked up, not welded in. Still gonna have to come up with some patches in here, because even with the new A-pillar, there's still some stuff missing underneath. You know, it doesn't matter how long I've been working on this car, I will never get used to this righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Unless you're on the driver's side, then it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty thing that they did. I'm embarrassed to admit, I can't tell you how many times I've started trying to crack these loose and wasn't able to do it just because I'm sitting here turning them the wrong way. I believe it was 72 that they went to the more traditional righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, regardless of what side of the car you're on. My brother's 72, has the traditional threads. But this being in 1970, we got the goofy backward. Wrong way. Even turning it by hand, I'm turning it the wrong way. So you can see where we already drilled through a lot of them. That's going back for the rear seat panel. But there's like nothing there. Fits pretty decent, so let's give this a shot and see where we're at. All right, welded in. All up through here on the rails. Mostly all welded in. Still got to clean up those welds, but welded in here on the inner wheel housings to the side of that same panel, because like we talked about, this panel has a little flange on the end that mates up to those inner wheel housings. And still got to do it on this side here. You can see, didn't weld it yet, but that'll only take another couple minutes. And I'm gonna get back out here in a few days, and we'll weld that. And then the next thing will be removing the remainder of these scrap pieces. And once we do that, we're gonna drop the main floor in. So that'll be in the next video. And yeah, that's about it. We'll see you next time. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up if you don't mind, or even subscribe. Much appreciated. And I'm trying to get more videos out a little bit quicker as this project starts to come together a little bit faster. Once the main floor is in, that'll be the next video. And then probably the video after that would be final install of the firewall. I think in this video you're watching right now, you already saw it mocked up in there, but now that we know we got a good fit, now we're gonna actually get it finally installed. So that'll be next time. See ya, thanks.